Longtime techonomist. She's probably been to almost as many techonomies as anybody. She's only missed one or two. Is going to come on and tell us about her own personal journey and what she's concluded about colon cancer as a result. So, Brooks.
What Roy is doing is so amazing, and I really hope he's successful because it will hopefully render everything I'm about to talk about totally irrelevant. So my name is Brooks. I've been coming to Techonomy for many years, and I run a test and learn operation, but I'm not going to talk about that at all today. I'm going to talk about a story that is deeply personal and a little gross, but I think you need to hear it. So this week, last year, I was sitting in this seat, and my life changed forever. I wish it was the excellent advice you can see John Chambers giving me last year. But no. One morning when I was here, I went to the bathroom, and I looked down, and I saw blood in my stool for the first time. And I was absolutely horrified. And so I called a doctor when I was here, and she said, "Don't worry about it. It's just hemorrhoids. Everyone gets them." I was like, thank God. So I came back to Raleigh, where I live, and moved on with my life. But the blood didn't go away. So 3 weeks later, I called another doctor, got examined. She said, it's still hemorrhoids. So I went on. But it went another 3 weeks and had not gone away. So this time, I called a gastroenterologist. I wasn't referred. I wanted to get a third opinion. It was a totally different experience in front of this gastroenterologist because they were very alarmed. They said that I was not too young for colon cancer, and they said the next step is to get a colonoscopy. So when I woke up from my colonoscopy, I saw the doctor approaching, and her face was troubled, and I knew it wasn't good news. She said that she had found a tumor, and it was almost certainly cancerous, and that was what was causing the bleeding. I was 38 years old. I went home with my husband to process some of the most shocking news of my life, and shortly thereafter, I was officially diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. And I'm here to talk about my story and all the shocking data that I've learned over the last 11 months and why it matters and what we can do about it. First of all, colon cancer has risen 50% in people under the age of 50 in the last 30 years. On top of that, what's even more alarming is that it is predicted to go up another 90% in people under the age of 35 in the next decade. So this is just getting started. By 2030, up to 25% of new colon cancer cases are going to be young people. It's actually becoming not an old man's disease, it's going to be a young person's disease. And this is totally ridiculous. Colon cancer is also not a rare, obscure cancer. It's actually the third most common and the number 2 most deadly cancer in the US. More people die of colon cancer than breast or prostate cancer, when we almost never hear about it. 1 in 23 people get colon cancer in their lifetime, which means that 8 more people in this room, in addition to me, will get it at some point, and maybe sooner than you think. So what is going on here? Well, this is where techonomy comes in. There's been many techonomic changes in our environment over the last 30 years. First of all, there's been a lot of changes in our food, in our chemicals, health industries, and there may even be shifts in the way we work that may play a role. Scientists are looking at antibiotics as well as low fiber and more toxins in our diets and in our shampoos and things that we're surrounded with now. They're even looking at something called the gut-brain microbiome axis, which has scientifically shown how stress hormones are constantly interacting with our gut. And all of these trends negatively affect our microbiome, let me go back, of which 95% is located in our colon. And so in a nutshell, low fiber processed foods and high stress inflame it. And then antibiotics completely blast it away. And scientists think that this is allowing new bacteria to come in and, on one hand, attack our colon walls while also disabling our immune system from protecting us. And it's leaving us more vulnerable to tumor growth than ever. New York Times last year published an article kind of confirming this theory, where they have found 2 bacterial strains that work together to do just this. And actually this past week, I saw my functional doctor, and we found that I actually have one of those bacterial strains in abundance in my colon. So who knows, it may or may not have affected it, but it's amazing to see these trends start to come together. So here's some really good news. You can almost completely eliminate your risk of colorectal cancer. It's special because you don't need to wait for a lump like you have to do with breast cancer. But with breast cancer and prostate cancer, the best you can do is hope you catch it early. But with colon cancer, you can avoid it completely. And that's what's so great and so special about this whole thing. And what is that? I think you see this coming. It's a colonoscopy. So how colonoscopy works is that, or how colon cancer works, is that it always starts as a polyp in your colon. And a polyp is a cute little skin tag that has no symptoms. It does nothing for a whole decade except grow. But you have a whole decade. And a colonoscopy is how you find your polyps. What's so great about it is that when they're in there looking for polyps, they snip them out as they go. And so by the time you wake up, you have been diagnosed and cured of all your risks. So polyps are also very common. Doctors know that 1 in 4 men and 1 in 6 women have a precancerous polyp by their 50th birthday. Just like Will Smith did. He just vlogged his colonoscopy last week, and he also found a precancerous polyp. So that's why colonoscopies are so important in our prevention strategy. And so how do you get one? So I know you all want one now. So if you're over 50, hopefully you already had one. If you haven't, hopefully it's very easy. Just go sign up for one right now. It'll be covered by your insurance no matter what. If you're 45, it may be covered, but it's a little bit more dicey. American Cancer Society just lowered their guideline to 45, which is probably one of the most important developments in the colorectal cancer prevention world. But very little insurance covers it yet because it won't be required until the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force also update their guidelines, which may not happen until a minimum of 2022. One thing I do want to mention here is because American Cancer Society recommends this, for all the employers in this room, you have a huge opportunity to go talk with your HR department and find out if you align with ACS or the U.S. Preventative Services, if your insurance does, and try to get your company to align with ACS. I think it'd be great for your employees. If you're under the age of 45, you're not going to be covered, and unless you're high risk. And what high risk means is that you have family history, which means someone in your family had colon cancer, but it also means that someone in your family had a large polyp. So talk with your parents or your siblings or whatever and find out if they found a large polyp, and that should make you qualified. The second is if you're experiencing changes in your bowel habits, which is mainly blood in your stool. And so if you ever have another digestive health crisis, just don't waste it. Go get a colonoscopy. So I find insurance really frustrating. When I first was diagnosed, my first thought is like, oh my God, I'm gonna get everyone in my company to get a colonoscopy. And then my HR guy said that's not possible. And I've learned it's gonna be a reality for a while. There's a lot of regulations and things that would need to change before insurance is required. And it's going to be, so it'll be a long and expensive fight to change this, because we need a lot of data to show that it's worth it. But we have to start somewhere, because there's going to be a lot of young people that get this and die in the next decade. So I'm starting a movement, and the solution is something called Check Out My Ass. So the mission is to create consumer demand for colonoscopies. The goal is to prevent 20,000 cancer diagnoses by inspiring 1 million colonoscopies over the next decade. So one of many, is that colonoscopy is associated with one of the most disgusting substances out there. And if we could just change that to something a little less gross, it'll be the first domino in a very complex problem to solve. So do you guys know about Movember, for prostate and testicular cancer? Well, they were able to shift the conversation from balls to mustaches. So in our case, if we're able to simply shift it from shit to asses, it would be a huge step in the right direction. So we're going to make denim the new image of colorectal cancer prevention. And I have a really important meeting with a large denim brand actually tomorrow to pitch them on this idea. So I want to wrap up and give you a quick update on how I'm feeling. So as I was diagnosed as stage 3, I was fortunately stage 3A, which has the best odds for all the advanced cancer options. A month after my diagnosis, I had 10 inches of my colon removed through my belly button. My odds are great. I have an 87% chance of disease-free survival. And my first CAT scan is in January. And all that 13% risk is front-loaded to that. But I feel really great. So I'm glad that it's not something I have to be paranoid for that long. I'll be good after a couple of years if it doesn't come back. I went on and did 3 months of pretty intense chemotherapy, and the side effects really sucked. But the best side effect is that my dog didn't leave my lap for the entire time, and so we got quite close. And I also got to keep my hair. So I finished in June, and I'm feeling great. That is a photo of me taking my last chemo pill in June. And since then, I've made tons of positive changes, radical changes in my lifestyle and how I eat. I'm learning to meditate, I'm focusing on my sleep, I'm exercising a lot more. I even cut my stress way back. I actually stepped down as a CEO of my company and put a new leadership in place, and it's going really well. All of this is to strengthen my microbiome and, of course, to reduce my odds of recurrence. And I even signed up for my first triathlon in May, and so I'm starting to train for that. So thank you for letting me share my story, and if I've inspired you to get a colonoscopy, let me know so that I can notch up a few towards my goal. And of course, if you're an employer, there's a lot of opportunity for us to start focusing on helping our own employees prevent colon cancer and doing our part to make a colonoscopy